couple weeks long for warrant officers because most of us have prior military experience as a warrant officer, so they don't have to teach you a whole lot. You already understand a lot of how the Army works and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit shorter of a course. Then you go to survival training. That's 3 weeks long. That's a good time. It's really good Army training. You get a lot out of it. You don't like it while it's going on, I can tell you that. So then you go into your flight training, and everybody starts off in what they call just basic flying skills. You start off in this thing called a TH-67. It's looks like if the wind blew too hard, the helicopter might fly over. Little helicopter, and you do that, and you learn how to pick it up, you learn how to set it down, you learn how to turn left, turn right, learn how to fly around, learn how to do a traffic pattern.
That must have been an incredible feeling the first time you pulled a rudder back and the skis of a helicopter left the ground for the first time with you in the seat.
It is a feeling like I've never been. My wife Katie's asked me multiple times, how does that feel? And I was like, it's something you just can't explain. Yeah. And it's a freedom feeling. Mm-hmm. I will, it's funny because as a non-rated crew member, you kind of sit in the back and you're like, hey man, why don't you figure out how to fly this thing, mm-hmm. and you make fun of a lot of your pilots. Well, I will say this first day after trying to pick one up off the ground, I called a lot of my old pilots and I apologized. And I was like, I thought this was easy. It's definitely not easy. It's, it's kind of like, it's funny because most of your instructor pilots over there are Vietnam Air pilots now. Sure. They're civilians that are retired, but they're there to teach. And, he's over there with, one finger on the controls and the helicopter's perfectly still. And, I'm over there like death grip on the cyclic and
thing is shaking
just yanking up on the collective as hard as I possibly can. And he's just looking at me laughing, and I just look like I'm in a washing machine.
Uh-huh.
But, so they finally, about 50 hours later, they finally teach you how to actually fly one of those things. Then they throw you into instrument training. And I'll tell you what, it's a little unnerving being up in the sky in a little helicopter, and you can't see the ground, and you got this old guy next to you screaming at you because you can't follow one track on the line, and it's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Just for those just tuning in, we're talking to Robert Duncan. He is my son-in-law, married to my daughter Katie. Robert just graduated, got his wings from Black Hawk pilot school, now is being sent they're going to Hawaii for 3 years where he'll be stationed, and Robert's in the Northeast making the grand tour to say hello and goodbye to family members for a while. Brought Connor, the grandson, and Katie along with him, and I got talking with him the other day, and I thought, I don't know a thing about what you do. I mean, and frankly, he doesn't know what I do either, so don't tell him any secrets. So I thought I'll share my questions with him with our audience. And one thing that's amazing to me, I looked it up, and it's if you can look around the studio where I work, I've got about $500 worth of equipment in front of me. Robert's helicopter, at the last we saw, according to a 2012 average U.S. procurement form, you are flying a $21.3 million piece of equipment. If I stay in this radio station till I'm 100, I will never see that kind of money. So you have quite a responsibility for a $20 million piece of money that my listeners and I have all helped pay for.
Yes, and we appreciate it. It's some of the best equipment.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome.
It is definitely it is some of the best equipment in the world. It makes such a big difference. We do a lot of training with a lot of international forces and stuff like that, and everybody says the U.S. has the best of the best, and we take very good care of it. And it helps save a lot of lives. I mean, that's you can't put a cost on the life of somebody. So that $20 million, when we're out there doing medevac missions, and there's people in Afghanistan that need medical attention and they need it now. Would you rather be thrown in the back of the truck and you got to go over mountains for the next 6 hours, or in 10 minutes a medevac bird can be there with a combat medic or even a doctor on the back of it to take care of you and get you to where you need to go.
Yeah. A couple of basics. First of all, there's about 4,000 Black Hawks in the sky. What is the average crew size? on the plane.
Yep.
On
So
the bird.
the crew sizes, it depends on the mission and where it's at in the world. But I would say, you always have two pilots up front, and you usually have two people in the back. Usually one's a crew chief or a door gunner or a crew chief and a medic, or just that. The two pilots in the front never change. The people in the back will change depending on what the mission set that you guys are doing or what we are doing that day. Like I said, you may have a medic back there, you may have a door gunner, it's between 2 and 4 people.
Then in a predicted scenario, and you're back in Afghanistan in 3 years or whatever, and after being in Hawaii, which is not a combat zone, but you're in Hawaii at a post, is there anything different that you have to do as the pilot of a Black Hawk if you're going out to a hot area where there's combat, or you're going out to pick up supplies, or you're going on a medical transport mission? I mean, would you really be like, oh my God, this is combat, or are they all the same? It's you and the plane.
Well, as the Army, I mean, we always train as combat. I mean, even
you do, yeah.
Even being in Hawaii, I mean, I'm sure we'll be training just like it is in Afghanistan, or I mean, we have to be ready. The American people expect us to be ready to be able to deploy anywhere in the world and take care of whatever the issue is. So, we train every single day, just like it's at 10,000 feet in Afghanistan and with all the bad people in the world around you. So it does. There's still that initial shock and awe factor when you first get over there, the first time.
And the guy at the gunner behind you is firing. That makes it a little bit more real.
The first time that actually goes off, and it's going off for a reason, that instead of just, hey, shoot that target over there, if it's actually going off to defend that aircraft.
You were in that experience?
Yep, I've done that. It's an adrenaline factor of, the Army expects you to be able to do your job. So we train as we fight, as the Army always says, and we're prepared for just about any situation. We have wonderful mountains in Colorado that a lot of Army aviators go there and spend a year, and we fly very high altitudes to be prepared to do that. We have national training centers out in California that train us for the desert environment and how sandy and hot and everything like that. And we have, we are prepared, and we stay prepared to be able to do whatever the nation calls.
Have you been in a Black Hawk and have been hit?
Yes, sir.
You have?
Yes, sir. It's a significant emotional event, I guess is what they like to call that. Mm-hmm. But it's part of combat.
I have to tell folks, we got about 10 minutes left here. I have to tell folks Robert brought with him a video of part of his training, and it's pretty bizarre. It's pretty bizarre. It is the simulation of a helicopter that's gone down in water.
Yes, sir.
And maybe you can just expound on that a little bit.
So, a helicopter is made to be in the sky, as we all know. When it does not float very well. It's very not buoyant. Mm-hmm. And we had a few accidents with aviation throughout the services. I mean, you have to think the Navy flies these same helicopters, and they fly it over water all the time. So we've had a few incidences where the helicopters have gone down in water, and the people, God rest their souls, didn't make it because they didn't have the training to figure out how to get out of a helicopter.
When a helicopter hits the water, the only thing you can do is get out. You're not saving that helicopter.
No. But there's a lot of different things to it. Do you jump out as soon as it hits it? Well, that's probably not a good idea because there's still a lot of moving things above your head. So, the Army has taken it upon themselves to train us of what to do. And so at Fort Rucker, there's a very large swimming pool. And this contraption that they strap you in, it looks just like a helicopter on the inside. It's got all the working levers and handles and everything. And they make you put a pair of goggles on to where you can't see anything, and they drop you into this pool, and it spins a couple times, and you end up upside down and backwards, and you don't have oxygen.
You're just holding your breath.
Holding your breath, and it simulates. This is what it's going to be like, and you have to get out of the helicopter. I mean, it's a very controlled environment at Fort Rucker. They're not going to let anything too bad happen to you, but you don't want that first time of you trying to figure out how to get out of a helicopter in the water be when you don't have the safety divers there to pull you out. So,
as a pilot of a Black Hawk helicopter, what is removing combat from the equation? What is the most dangerous and most difficult situation you can find yourself in the helicopter with your plane and your crew, what is the most? Is it night? Is it rain? Is it?
The Army
what is it?
The Army has spent a lot of money to make a lot of those problems better for us. We're not regular commercial helicopter or airplane pilots where we fly really high, just kind of moving around across the sky. I mean, we fly very low, very fast. So I would say at night, flying low, flying fast, an area that you might not know. I mean, if we're asked to go anywhere, you may not know that area that well, but we have some awesome maps and we can get on Google Earth now and see everything from that we need to see. But very fast, very very low at night in areas that we don't know, you can put yourself in a very bad situation very quickly. But as professional aviators, we train for that. I would like to say that we're ready, and the Army mitigates a lot of the risk. You always have one junior pilot with one senior pilot, and that senior pilot has been doing it a while, and he knows the steps to take. If it gets a little too uncomfortable and you're not quite sure what's going on, hey, if we're not in combat, you pop up a couple 100 feet, you slow down, and you say, okay, let's figure out what's going on.
Gotcha. All right, you're going to Hawaii. You're going to be stationed at Wheeler Air Force Base. Is that correct?
Wheeler Army Airfield.
Wheeler Army Airfield. Wheeler is a name that dates back to Pearl Harbor news.
Yes.
Do you have any idea what your day will be like being a Black Hawk pilot in Honolulu?
Hopefully a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm looking kind of forward to that Top Gun scene where they're playing volleyball on the beach type thing.
I hope you get that. Yeah.
No. It'll consist of a lot of training. Just because we're home doesn't mean we're not training.
Right.
So it'll consist of a lot of training. For me, it'll consist of a lot of studying. I didn't realize it until I got into flight school. You think your pilots just kind of show up with their long hair and their big glasses and their cup of coffee and say, let's go flying today. But there's a lot of behind-the-scenes things, a lot of studying that I have to do. You have to know all your emergency procedures by heart without looking at anything. So as a junior aviator, I'll be doing a lot of studying, a lot of, trying to get to know the aircraft better and exactly how it operates. Would
you be called upon to do a sea rescue?
I could be.
Yeah.
I definitely could be. I won't be going to a medevac. I'll be going to what they call an air assault battalion, which is movement of troops, movement of equipment. But yeah, they very well could.
Sure.
I do know out there in Hawaii they do deck landings with the Navy. They do a lot of over water, a lot of things that they call island hopping, which is trying to figure. They hand you a map and say, take us from point A to point B, and tell us how to get there without the use of GPS and stuff like that.
It's fascinating. The whole story is fascinating. Do you foresee in your 3 years in Hawaii you landing a Black Hawk on an aircraft carrier deck?
I probably. I would hope so. I hope I get the opportunity.
That's got to be cool.
Yeah, it's definitely. I'm looking forward to the Hawaii missions.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, that's Robert Duncan. He is my son-in-law, married to my daughter, Katie. And like I said, he has just graduated from flight school and got his wings to fly Black Hawk helicopters and just been assigned now. We were all hoping that you would get to Fort Drum. I was trying to tell him how beautiful the weather is.
For about 2 weeks a year, I understand it's beautiful
Drum,
up there.
But instead from Fort Drum, he's ending up in Honolulu. Some people get the tough breaks, Robert, thanks for coming by. Fascinating stories.
Thank you very much for your time, sir.
Yeah, my pleasure. And we'll keep you posted. Of course, they'll be leaving here in about 2 weeks. They're actually leaving up here in 2 days, but leaving the States in about 2 weeks on the 28th, I think he said, and they'll be in Hawaii. And I'll like to keep you posted because I've been doing this so many years. There's no secrets with my listeners, and you all know that. All right, I am Big Chuck. Thank you so much for tagging along. I do appreciate it. Let me hit you with the Weather Center forecast one more time. All right, gang? Sun and clouds will mix today with a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms this afternoon, and the high today about 90 degrees, a scorcher today. Overnight down to 70 is all, with showers and thunderstorms coming up tomorrow. For tomorrow, Thursday, cloudy, showers, thunderstorms, and some of those storms could have some pretty fierce winds in it. The high tomorrow, 85. You're listening to WCHN in Norwich, New York. WDOS in Oneonta, New York, and WDLA AM in Walton, New York. I am Big Chuck. It's 10. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll do it again in the morning. Time for ABC News.
From ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Newt Gingrich